Greetings and salutations. In service to the One, I am Amber Dawn Star, practical mystic, energetic activist, and for over 34 years, master breathologist. Welcome back to my channel. Well, I'm very excited to say that yesterday's video that I uploaded actually worked. No glitches, no no nah. So I'm gonna do that again today because it worked. But also there was some stuff going on with our internet here and the internet here, and so that got the speed got raised. So possibly I might go live again just to see if that helped with the glitches. I don't know. Want to talk today about the world of wounds that we live in and how you can raise your compassion for that world. Because it is true that if you don't heal your wounds and let them become scars, then you are constantly being run by your wounds. And a lot of these wounds have gone into the subconscious and are then termed shadow work. Anything that you haven't looked at, anything that you haven't dealt with, anything that you're not ready to look at or not wanting to work on, but keep coming out in your life as things that you're like, well, wow, I had a really strong reaction to that. Not a response, but a reaction. And usually if you have a reaction, you're dealing with a wound and you're dealing from the shadow, which is where your wounds are if they're not healed and turned into scars. We can walk around, most of the planet is walking around in their wounds. They're just, because they haven't taken the time to do the work, and so they are constantly being, those wounds are being pushed. It's like a, you know, the buttons, the buttons that are being pushed. That's the wound. Those buttons are the wound. So what you see out there in the world and the acting out that's going on right now are the wounds that have not been turned into scars. They're just continual wounds. And people keep going. They keep acting like, oh, well, you know, the blame and shame and, you know, pointing the fingers and doing all of that to put it off of oneself and onto another is the wound. Because when you realize that you are now working from a place of having those wounds turn to scars, then you have enough awareness and consciousness that you're not blaming anybody else. You're realizing that, you know, you chose the whole thing. You chose your parents, you chose your line, you chose your friends, you chose your mate, you chose. And so, you know, that's your contract. That's your birth chart in astrology. That's what you came in, your what you were going to do this time, what you were going to accomplish this time as your soul. And you come in with all of these things to accomplish, and you know, then the wounding starts. And it starts no matter what. I don't care what color you are, I don't care how much money you have, I don't care, you know, where in the world you are. We all have wounds. We've all been wounded. I would say most of my wounds are scars now, although, you know, I still have a couple that raise their head and I'm like, oh, you're still here? Oh, well, I guess I need to address you and breathe and get to the bottom of what that wound's about. Because all of the wounds are emotional, energetic body wounds. That's where all the trauma that we've ever had in our life, starting with our birth, is stored. It's stored in our emotional body. And the breath work deals with the emotional body to heal it, to clear it, to heal it, to breathe and to feel and to release, and then you heal. And that's what the breath work that I'm honored to do does for people. It helps remove the shadow aspects of people, and it helps turn their wounds into scars. And that's what we want. Yeah, most people, you can't see their scars. They're on the inside. They're in the emotional body. But man, you trigger somebody and they react, you know you've hit a wound. When they respond, then you know that you're dealing with somebody that has taken responsibility and accountability and has scarred that wound. So the wounds come from usually childhood. Sometimes people come in with unfinished business from the last go round, and so those wounds are carried forward into the present lifetime. I had a client once that early on, when I first became a certified breath worker, I had a client that went into a session and she immediately went back to a past life, because one of her issues, or the main issue with her in this life, was her father, and that she hated his guts. And so she was carrying around a lot of guilt and shame because her father this lifetime loved her, adored her, would do anything for her, sent her to the best schools, got her the best education, gave her everything, and she hated him. She wanted to see him dead. That's how much she was wounded. And she went right back to a past life with the soul that was her father in this life. In that life, her father was the person that chained her to a wall and abused her physically and sexually and emotionally and mentally, and abused her to the point that she died in that life, very young, with all of that trauma from this other soul. This time, that soul was her father. And so when she came out of the session, of course, she was crying tears of joy because she finally realized what the core wound was, which was something from a past life that she brought in because it hadn't been cleared. And that session changed her entire outlook with her father, with her own choices, with her life, with her friends. It just affected every single thing in her life when she came to that realization that that's why she felt the way she did. So that's one example of the clients that I've worked with over 34 years, but that one was pretty remarkable, especially for me, who was just getting going in this work. I was astounded. I'm always amazed. I'm never not amazed. After 34 years, I'm still amazed at how people can function with these wounds, how people can have a life and relationships and keep going, and they're walking around just wounded. And so now it's up to us, the people that have mainly done the work and have scars, to hold that compassion for the people that haven't done the work and are still coming from their wounds. It takes a lot to have that level of compassion when you see so much horrendous stuff going on the planet right now. Our country seems to be the gun murdering capital of the world. Innocent people being killed. But those souls are also part of this waking up process. Those souls are the sacrificial lambs that have said, okay, we will do this. We will be taken out violently to raise the awareness of the people that are left behind that something needs to change. And obviously we know what needs to change. We have an idea, at least, of what needs to change. The NRA needs to change. We need to get rid of that flip-flopping agency. I mean, nobody needs an AR-15. Nobody. Unless you're going to war, and why would you do that anyway? But nobody needs an AR-15 just to, have in the, backpack. That's ego. That's fear-based. I got a bigger gun, so therefore I'm the biggest badass. And that's the mindset of the people that are acting this shite out right now. And, and they're young. They're young people. They're teenagers that are doing this kind of thing. But if you have, starting your life and say, you weren't wanted, so you got that energy coming in, or you weren't the right sex, like I came into that line, and all the stuff that's laid on, the layers of stuff from your line, from society, from your conditioning, from your programming, and that builds the wall, as you've heard about that wall, right? Pink Floyd, The Wall. And it's true. It's just another brick in the wall until at some point you can't deal with it anymore. And you will either act out or your body will produce dis-ease. Because the emotional and the physical body are very connected to each other. So when you heal the wound, the dis-ease leaves. I've had people, miraculous, I've had people that have had breast cancer and healed. Because they got to the core of why they were in dis-ease. And that wound. From, usually the family. And all of us have it. So now we get to practice our compassion and our understanding. And, it's a daily practice. It's a spiritual practice for me. I do have compassion. I do have compassion for people. I have a harder time with people that hurt animals and children. My compassion goes down with that. I can come back to compassion, but initially, no, there's not too much compassion right away with me. I'm just talking about myself personally. And that takes its toll, of course, because there's so much of that going on with the children and the animals and good Lord. So what you want to do is you want to go within. If you want, now of course obviously you don't have to, but if you want to make progress in this life, if you're wanting to change, really change the programming, the conditioning, the family line, then you've got to go within and you've got to do the work. You've got to be like a detective and go down into the basement and look at all the crap that you've got stored in there. And start going through those boxes and saying, I don't need this anymore. I can let go of that now. Let's move this away from me now. I'm completed with this. So it takes some time, but it doesn't take as much time as it did for the wall to be built. because you can get in touch with those feelings and get them out and feel them and release them, and the healing process happens, so that you get to the scarring. And then everything, it's not that things still don't affect you, but you're not in a reactive place. You're in a responsive place of, oh, yeah, okay, there that is again. Oh, I see that about me. I see that I'm responding this way. So then you take another look. And you keep doing that until you're just in the witness place in your life, that you can step back and you can witness what's going on instead of being so attached. Ugh. The ego loves to be attached. Mine. It's mine. It's my way or the highway. You do what I say. You do what I want you to do. I want. And that's the ego. And that ego usually is a negative ego. There is a positive ego, but you got to get rid of the negative one first. Or you at least have to, absorb it into your whole being, which is so much more than this body. Oh my gosh. If our souls, as big as we are, could be in bodies, we'd all be giants, because that's how big we really are. So, if you want to learn more about going within and doing the work and clearing, please leave me a message and say, yes, I'd like to hear more about the breath work that you do, and or whatever the other hats that I wear, which are quite a few. But the breath work is the one that has changed me the most and offered me the most solace, and has turned a lot, I would say, at least 96% of my wounds into scars. So, if you like this video, if it resonates for you, if there's anything about it that you're going, yeah, I like that, I want to find out more, please leave a comment in below. Subscribe and do ring the bell or something, and yeah, tell your friends that, if it works for you. If it doesn't, that's okay too. I'm just following orders, I'm just following what Spirit has asked me to do. I've been chipping away at this all this year, and I was actually moving in the direction that I most wanted to be moving. And then life sent me something so tragic and devastating that it took me a few months to come back to this. And I didn't even know if I was going to come back to it. I didn't even know if I was going to come back, period. But I did. And a lot of breathing over the last 3 months. A lot of getting it out. A lot of those feelings, getting them out. So it's okay to feel. I know we've been told, most of our lives, at least my generation, the baby boomers were told, don't show your feelings. Don't stuff that shite. Just stuff it down. Especially the masculine. Don't cry, you're a faggot. You're a wimp. You're a sissy. Be a man. Yeah, be a man. Get a gun. Go kill people. I'm not laughing because that's funny. I'm just laughing because it's like so... The juxtaposition of that, the wanting to be a man, and then the whole idea of that is killing people and killing animals. Killing. Violence. That seems to be the toxic masculine's way. Obviously not all the masculine. There are some divine masculines out there that are actually, I can call men, The rest are males and boys. And you know, those big guns might have some issues in other areas to compensate for. All subconscious. This isn't like, okay, I'm going to go buy a gun because I'm a QCLD. Which is, I don't know if YouTube will let me keep this on, but it's quick coming little dick. That's my own catchphrase, because to me, that's what really, we get right down to it. That's really the challenge, especially with the white males and the black males. So, go within. There's a lot of material out there. There's a lot of YouTube channels that will help you. You know, Eckhart Tolle is awesome. Matt Kahn, awesome. The Leo King, who does astrology, awesome. Kai Pacha, awesome. Astrology for Ascension, awesome. I mean, there's a few people that I follow that are just like, okay, they know. They have the proverbial clues. So, please do your research, do your homework. If you get stuck, call me. I mean, can't call me. Leave a message and I'll get back to you. And also, you know, have a website, breathedeepsoulhealing.com. And that's where I go deeper into what it is that I do. So, if any of this resonates, please keep coming back. I'm going to hopefully do this till the new moon in Capricorn. And at least that's the commitment so far. So, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for the 14 people that have subscribed to my channel. I feel very honored and blessed that you did that. I don't know if any of you are still involved with that because I've been off for so long, but if you are, then that'd be great. Glad. So, I will see you tomorrow. Om Namah Shivaya. In Lakach. Namaste. And El Kalimon, which is the Hathors, that means peace. Peace to you. Peace within and peace without. Bye for now. See you tomorrow. God willing.